So, that looks live, that looks live. Sound's coming through okay through the preview. And I think we're good to go. Hey there, everybody. Happy Friday evening to you. Thanks for joining in. Tonight is going to be the first time I've dived into arenas since they started up yesterday. So I'm going to be building up my infinite streak. And I'm going to be going for milestones in the 5-star Morningstar arena. I've already got a 5-star. I've already got her duped. So I'm not interested in that, but just pick up some extra units, some extra gold, a couple extra arena chips for even more gold. And just go from there. So, welcome to the festivities. It's going to be a pretty chill, straightforward evening, just putting up some points, having a good time. So thanks for joining in. Alright, so I already started off just throwing in my first squad here. And got so bored that I didn't even finish the first round. So let's finish off 23 there, which would be awesome because then I can go back in, do another round with the Quake Karnak Nightcrawler team. So it's one less team on the back end, 4-star team on the back end that I need to roll with. So that's neat. And I'm going to be using the 4-star Infinite Streak strat that I posted and talked about in one of my previous videos. So I kind of want to run down of my mentality going into it, kind of what to look for yourself, whether you're a player who's been playing for a long time and has been realizing that the prestige creep has kind of messed up your own tried and true strategy, or if you're a new player kind of looking to figure out how to get that streak going and which champs to rank up and kind of how to optimize your squad to make life a little bit easier for you. I definitely recommend checking that out. Or just, stay tuned for the next 40 minutes or so while I put up some points and get through the streak. First part here is pretty straightforward. It's 12 teams of 4 stars. And then it's going to be, after win number 12, then it's going to be starting off at the tip top of my 5-star roster. Should be working through all my rank 5s, getting into some of my rank 4s by the time I reach streak 20, and by then it's a free-for-all. Might dive into some of my 6s, we'll see what time it is, kind of play it by ear, and go from there. So, spoilers for a future video, depending on when you're watching, if you're watching live here, or if you're watching on a playback later on YouTube. A couple of the champs here on my roster might look a little bit different than you remember. So there is a forthcoming featured 5-star and 6-star video coming out here, probably at the time of recording here, the next couple of days, or if you're watching this at some future far point in the future, it should already be up. So check that out for if you're interested to see who I wound up pulling. It was a good opening. I'll put it that way. Because those kind of things can either go one of 3 ways. It can either be so amazingly exceptional, we see the CEO luck, God tier confirmed, whatever, right? And that's like the cream of the crop. You rarely ever get those. Or it could be the inverse opposite, where it's just, the worst possible thing you could have ever got or hoped for is exactly what pops out of the crystal, and then that's unfortunate too, but part of the game. Or, 4 out of 5 times and it's just somewhere in the middle where it's like, hey, that's cool. Not my first top choice, not my second choice, but it's still useful, it's still awesome, it's still a really good pull, and it's nowhere near disappointing. That's where just most everything winds up falling, I think. So, most fortunately for me, it was somewhere in the top half of that, I'd say. Didn't wind up awakening my Captain Marvel, who is my tip-top choice. Nor did I pull a Nick Fury, who was probably choice number 4 or 5. And I do not have a new Science Champ, which is a close second behind the Captain Marvel. Because I could use a good, solid Science 6-star. Because I got a Wasp, and she's amazing. She was my first rank 2 6-star, and I would rank 3 her were it not for better long-term options out there, I'd say. But any of the Fantastic Four, Beardo, Void, I'd even be really happy with the Luke Cage. Any of those, hopefully, will be popping out of a 6-star crystal here at some point. So what I'm doing right here is that I'm starting at the top of my 4-star roster and working my way down, right? So even though each fight does get incrementally more difficult, the opponent's PI is slowly lowering in sync with mine. It just minimizes the chance that you're going to wind up getting paired up with, you know, a 6-star against your 4s, or, you know, a rank 5-star against your 4s. So the champs you wind up fighting are, you know, have a higher PI than the champs that you are currently using, but they aren't anything too terribly difficult. Again, the most important thing, aside from starting at the top of the 4-star roster and working your way down, is to make sure that you keep out, in my case, 2 teams to save for the very end of the infinite streak. So I'm saving a power control team of OG Vision, Voodoo, and Rogue, and I'm saving my all-around MVP team of Blade, Sparky, and Ghost Rider, who not only are an amazing synergy team combined, but also have 2 power control champs. So 5 out of the 6 champs I'm saving at the end are to control power, which is really, I think, the most important thing you could do at the end, because not only are champs at that point going to be immensely difficult, but you also get the annoying AI where they just they turtle up. They don't want to throw specials. They just stand there and not do anything. So being able to manage that just makes life a little bit easier. There isn't a real rhyme or reason or strategy for who I'm throwing up right now. I like to keep 3 different classes on each team. And maybe a tinfoil conspiracy theory on my part, but it always feels like if you've got 2 or 3 champs of the same class on your squad, you're going to wind up getting paired up with 2 or 3 champs of a superior class on the opponent team. So just one more thing to make life just a little bit easier on yourself. Keep things moving smoothly. Now I started off with a Quake, with a Karnak, and a Nightcrawler. And when I originally started figuring out how to get this streak, which was a good while ago, I didn't really have any idea what Shaken Quake was all about, and I didn't really realize at the time how good and versatile a champ that Quake is. So were I to reorganize my teams now, I'd probably keep her out and save her, honestly, probably for one of the last team members. for the end of the streak where it's really difficult, just because she can handle it. But as it stands, it's just habit at this point, so she gets thrown to the easiest champs right off the get-go. But there's a lot of different champs that you could wind up using. So like I said, I used the Blade Trinity team, and those 3 champs for power control, but honestly, there are so many good champs now that can do all those things, control power, or just synergize immensely well with others, that if you don't have those champs, that's okay. If they aren't ranked up all the way, that's okay too. There's options. Now, I don't quite remember if Infinity Man, I don't think Infinity Man is shock immune. He just has a higher tolerance to bleed with his armor stacks, but I think he can still be shocked. So Nebula could wind up working out pretty well there. And I just need to remember that I am fighting a Yondu, and I need to pay a little bit better attention. Hey, what's up, AC? That means a lot. Thanks for joining in. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you're here. Hope I'm not keeping you up too late. But I really appreciate that. Thank you. Hey, what's up, PP? How you doing? Happy Friday to everybody. This was one of those weeks where it's hard to believe that it's Friday already. Feels like it should still be like Tuesday or something. But then again, my internal clock is all kinds of messed up, so. So let's try it. I'm going to build up to a special 2. And hopefully not get wrecked before that. And then just charge up a bunch of stuff. I want to see if I can one-shot this guy with several shocks and then a special 2. Shouldn't be a problem because he doesn't have any armor ups up, so that should make my life a little bit easier. That's 15, that should be plenty. And then doubling that up, as long as I just... Come on. Come on. Come on. Well, so much for that double shock. Come on. Now why didn't that... I parried him. And it stunned him, so it wasn't the energy attack that got deflected. There we go, there's the shocks. Okay. I don't know what happened that first time. That's just going to make things a little bit more challenging. If I can just get you to launch your special 2. Oh, 1%, so close. Fortunately, he wasn't awakened, so I didn't have to worry about all that armor up nonsense and power gain at the end. But that was just a fun little social experiment. Holy cow, 4:30. Good morning. Oh, you stayed up? My goodness. Well, again, cheers. Let's pair you up with Old Cap. Nice. What'd you think? You know, I've never wound up going back into LoL. After I ran it and then I finished it, never went back for a full completion. So I've always been kind of curious how Aegon would wind up handling some of that stuff. and especially some of the chip damage too, with some of the more annoying champs at that level, like Winter Soldier and Falcon, and Magic with that Limbo. I'm afraid I didn't, AC. Who'd you end up pulling? What's up, Black Knight? How are ya? Happy Friday. I'm doing pretty good, all things considered. Glad it's almost the weekend. Glad that, for me, the day's done. To just kick back, put up some points in arena, and hang out. It's going pretty good. PP, did you end up bringing some synergy champs for him, like Proxima or Heimdall or somebody, or who is the rest of your team? ACTs. Alright, alright. I'll check that out. Now you've piqued my curiosity. Hey, for everybody else, would you be able to post the URL in the comment section? I'm not super familiar with YouTube. I'm not 100% sure you can submit links, but I'm hoping you can. That way, for everybody else who wants to check it out too. That's just bad luck then. With the magic evasion. See, that whole evasion thing in LoL was, I don't know, I'm still pretty salty about that. Because when it first debuted, and especially since then, you have a bunch of champs that can negate evasion, whether it's through Cold Snap or True Strike. But then they just had to go out on a limb and say, no, this is the LoL evasion. It's like regular evasion, but nonsense. So all those champs that we've been hyping up for, you know, negating evasion doesn't actually apply here, so, well, oh, that's good. Ah, shame. That was worth a try. Try to plug you, dude. But I will check that out later. Yeah, that's a pretty solid LoL team right there. I mean, Aegon's gonna wind up pulling like 99% of the workload right there, but just in case you needed anybody else, each and every single one of those are amazing backups. Kind of makes you wonder, with Abyss being so fresh still, like who the future champs are going to wind up being to just make Abyss a piece of cake. You know? Because like when LoL first came out, the go-to was Star-Lord, right? And Star-Lord was like the Aegon back then. You'd still have a heck of a time with some of those fights, and because of that evasion, if you got clipped, you know, you'd get ruined, you'd lose 300, 400, or 500 hit combos. But you know, then they came out with Aegon and a good number of others. Void was after LoL. And he just made life so much easier for OG Spidey and that X-23 in the corner. But then you had other people, myself included. I did the easy path with a rank 4 Storm. Fun times. I'm guessing, let's see, it's mid-month. I'm guessing it's only going to run a week. So probably it's going to start launching about the same time as when Storm X comes out. No, that wouldn't be smart on their part. My guess is, okay, so Storm X would come out on Thursday. Her arena is going to run through... I'm going to say it's going to come out at the end of her first arena. So just enough time for the calf crystals to have disappeared from the shop. And that's going to be like the Monday or Tuesday thing, right? And then run for like a week and a half, something like that. 4-star still. Ouch. Well, that is pretty solid labyrinth luck right there. My condolences. I wish they would buff Netflix Daredevil. I wish they would. Hulkbuster needed the buff. Colossus needed the buff. You got a couple other champs that really could use the buff. White Magneto included, especially since he's a stupid 6-star now. But for me personally, as a fanboy, yeah, Netflix Daredevil needs so much love. Collectively, seasons 1, 2, and 3, and then the Daredevil parts of Defenders, it just ranks right at the top of all MCU content. Presuming, of course, that they tie in a couple of those Netflix shows into the wider MCU. And just like retcon the fact that Mahershala Ali plays 2 different characters, and what's her face? Mariah from Luke Cage plays 2 different characters. I'll just ignore that. I'm willing to ignore all of that just to make Charlie Cox canon. I'm a big fan of the show. But the character needs so much love. So much love. Just Daredevil in general, you know? Like, nobody from Daredevil's inner ring of characters is a quality champ anymore. You know? Daredevil Netflix is just awful. Just trash tier. Bottom of the bottom. OG Daredevil is still useful, can be useful, but he's like OG Vision where it's just super specific. And then, even still, there are just too many abilities out there to alter his ability accuracy to make him useless. Kingpin is bland, Elektra is bland. If you want to say OG Spidey is his, you know, outer circle, he's bland. Punisher is probably the best of the bunch, but he's bland. But each of those are their own unique characters in their own circles, so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the next Baron's War comes out next week, I think, right? Yeah, maybe. So, like, it would run concurrent with the Storm X arena, the first round? It's possible. It just depends what the balance and the ratio is between, like, actual content and free-to-play content and whatever gold pool crystals they're inevitably going to sell at us. Yeah. That whole Bendis arc for Daredevil was amazing. It got a little bit drawn out at the end, I think. I like the character evolution. I was really hoping with season 4 of Netflix Daredevil that they would have touched on just his identity being outed, especially with the way that they ended season 3. But with the way that post-credit scene in Far From Home was, it seems like they may adapt that storyline to Spider-Man as opposed to Daredevil. But hope springs eternal. You could use a bullseye in the game. Surprised we don't have a bullseye in the game, to be honest. AC is set that. Am I saying it right? Is it AC? Or is it icy? Because that depends on the interpretation of your username. I don't doubt that at some point they're gonna get to Jessica Jones. If they're bringing Weapon X into the game as a playable character, and they've kind of adapted that that Doctor Strange that they were teasing originally twice over now, between Symbiote Supreme and I'm just calling her Supreme now, or Sorcerer Supreme. Like they've done his kit twice based on the leaked abilities. Red Skull is in game now. I don't really see why there isn't any reason why. Oh, I'm already at fight 10. I'm already at fight 10. All right. I don't see why there isn't any reason why they can't adopt Jessica Jones somehow into the game. Let's go this one. And again, if that just encompasses a larger reboot of some of those old characters, I'm all for it. I mean, hey, you could even use some of Emma Frost's mechanics with inverted controls if you wanted to do a Purple Man. Okay, so it is AC. Then AC, is it, I don't know, that you've got an ace in the hole when it comes to the game? It's definitely not that. Humor me. So I will say that it kind of scratches that itch that the remaining 2020 champs have been leaked. Just, you know, knowing who's coming down the pipes. But at the same end, it kind of kills the fun too, because it just ruins speculating for the next, what, 7 months? Then everybody else who isn't on that list is, you know, may as well be a year out still. Oh, I get it. AC, MC, OC. Got it. Got it. I like it. Rolls off the tongue. Let's go hype. Yeah, and then it depends too if they want to like throw any extra abilities on her that she wouldn't normally have. Like Red Skull with his like exosuit armor, or just saying that Nick Fury has a body kit double, right? it's all plausible things, you know, given the character and their history and whatnot, but it isn't the first thing you think of when you think of those characters either, right? So, yeah, like a detective mode could kind of be interesting. Give her like a true strike ability, which I'm blanking off the top of my head, but I'm not sure how many science champs have true strike. So that could be interesting. Or like, or even like a better version of Ebony Maw, right? Where the longer that she's just passively checking out the opponent, the more zeroed in on him that she gets. And like when she's completely locked onto the opponent, then you know she gets a flurry of abilities. Something interesting like that, right? Like Ebony Maw, but better. Oh, that's bad. That's not that bad. This isn't gonna hurt. Ah. Gotcha. Okay, cool. I think that the list is 80% accurate. Like it allows, we're still far enough out for, you know, Q4 this year, where if they change their mind or if they wanted to switch something around, it, especially with the entire MCU being postponed or delayed a few months, it gives them enough time to move things around on their own production schedule. So we may not get those champs in exactly that order. Somebody could be canceled at the last minute or reskinned to be somebody else. But there was a big leak right around that time when Mephisto and Morningstar were coming out, where they leaked like 6 or 7 champs, and they all wound up that wound up being accurate. So I think for the most part, it's probably going to be pretty spot on. But I'm still hoping to be wrong, because again, it's always fun just seeing who comes out of the woodworks. It depends. I could get excited for her, depending on what her kit is. You know, if it's like a reskin of an existing character, then no, absolutely not. But there are too many other champs in this game that I had never ever heard of before that exist in canon already, let alone like the Kabam specific ones that they just make up. That I go from, oh, I didn't know you existed an hour ago, to being like, you are my most anticipated champ this year so far, you know? It just really depends on her kit and then her synergies. So, possibly? But Kabam really likes to just mess with your emotions, right? The champs, the nobody champs, right? Oftentimes wind up being like these OP god tier champs. Like Blade is cool, right, as a character, but is Blade more powerful than Sentry in comics? And yet in game, you know, for the longest time, Blade was like top of the food chain, and Sentry still is Sentry. So they're just all over the place. Like the only champs that they've nailed recently, I think, are Namor, Doom, and arguably most of the... I'm gonna die, aren't I? Most of the Fantastic Four. Now that people have actually got a chance to play around with them and figure their kits out. hope we don't wind up getting like a MCU version of She-Hulk. Because I will say this, it's cool, I guess, that Stealthy exists, and he's as versatile and good as he is, right? He's a quality champ to have, and he's got ridiculously high prestige. Cool, cool, and cool. That having been said, you could have given that kit to somebody completely new, so we don't have our 4th or 5th spider person, you know? Kruger could be fun. But like, I mean, like really, you get like Kruger, right? If Professor X winds up being canon, then that's awesome. But you know, there's a plethora of other X-Men that still, you know, need their chance to shine. Get like a Kitty Pryde or something out there. But like, do we really need Mole Man? Really? Terrax I kind of get, you know, for him being integrated into the overlying 2020-2021 storyline. But I don't know, was Terrax at the top of anybody's list either? Kind of bummed that they didn't have Stan Lee as like we all were Stan Lee. Like it was in the movie where Stan Lee is just one of the Watchers. Instead, we're just some random schmuck in a spacesuit. Yeah, Quicksilver, comic or MCU. Yeah, I mean, there's 3 versions they could have done. The Fox version, the MCU version, or the comic version. I'd have been okay with any of them. I mean, because at that point, you could have a really killer synergy with Magneto and make him relevant again, too. Or, you know, tie something in with Scarlet Witch, even though she's never going to be anything more than a 4-star. But that hasn't stopped them before for having, you know, 5- and 6-star champs having synergies with a 4-star only champion. She is. I would definitely say that having played around through her a little bit now, it's nice that she's unique. She's unique enough. You know, she's like a happy combination of Doctor Strange and Venom the Duck. Like it, I'm kind of bummed out that she just makes Doctor Strange even more irrelevant nowadays. But that having been said, she does enough things differently from Strange and Symbi that she's interesting. But I need to play around with her and her kit a lot more, because the more I'm playing with her, the more parallels I'm drawing between her and Clairvoyant. Which isn't a bad thing. Claire is an exceptional character. I just need to find the fine line that separates the two of them, right? It's like, oh hey, you know, Supreme can regenerate, so can Claire. Supreme can nullify, so can Claire. Supreme needs the shift to be able to boost her attacks, so does Claire. Benefit though is that Supreme can stockpile which buffs you want her to trigger. at a given time. She doesn't need to cycle through each of the 3 different ones, which is nice. Come on, buddy. I think the nicest thing about Supreme so far that I'm most excited about is that nullification aura. And the fact that you can just bring it up whenever you want on a special one, as opposed to you needing to be locked into a specific blessing. So I think the benefit for that is greater. But we'll see. I'm still really fresh on testing her out. So there is a gameplay and rank up video coming. I've already got the rank up recorded. Starting to get going on some of the gameplay stuff. Unfortunately, for the time being, I can't take her up anything more past rank 2 because I am ridiculously behind on tier 4 basics of all things. Because I need to rank up some big rank ups here in the next 3 weeks, or else I have a bunch of tier 2 alpha expiring. So I'm trying to save up to get to 6 stars to rank 2. If not, then it's gonna have to be some rank 4 or rank 5 stars, which isn't bad, but not my first choice. So depending on how much I have left over from that, then she's gonna wind up getting that, because I want her at least at rank 3, rank 4 preferably. But just gonna have to play that by ear for a while. Call that the synergy with Ultron. Surely you should have seen that one coming. Yeah, right. Although, and this is serious, I'm surprised that they haven't added Giant Man to the game. Because they went through so much effort to readjust the entire game space to accommodate Sentinels. But Sentinel is the only champion out of the entire 160 odd some champs that you can fight in this game that takes up that much space. You know, MODOK, Mojo, some of those oversized champs, Venom the Duck, they take up a lot of real estate, but not as much as Sentinel. I'm just surprised that since, you know, champions tend to correlate based on abilities, that we didn't get somebody else that size, you know? Because, like, Mojo is basically the collectible version of the Act 6-4 collector, right? In that you have to complete different prompts to activate different abilities or perks. And as soon as Emma Frost got in the game, then inverted controls were all over the place. Manta synergy with Drax would be great too. In fact, the whole Guardians of the Galaxy needs some love. Gamora got a great buff, but she needs the dupe to really capitalize on it. But otherwise, the whole clan just needs a lot of love. Groot is abysmal. Star-Lord he's still good. He's still Star-Lord, but you know, he's been surpassed several times over by other champs nowadays. Drax is in the game. And Rocket I need to take another look at, because his special 2 packs a huge punch, right? Does immense bleed damage. But ever since they kind of like buffed his dash back and hold block mechanic to activate the 3 different shields, I never spent any time learning any of that. So it'd kind of be nice to go back and see what they actually do. Because giving him that permanent shield makes him a havoc counter. I just want to see if that's actually effective, or if triggering like that massive amount of bleed is just gonna, well, it wouldn't ruin you because you would have the armor up. Yeah, he could be interesting to take out. Yeah, I just wish that she needs a synergy. I hope they come out with a synergy where she gets a persistent charge. So similar to like how her special 3 is able to permanently add a blessing to her kit, right? To take with her the rest of the match. Having a synergy with somebody else to carry that one through future matches could be a lot of fun. I don't think it would make her overpowered, but that could be fun. I tell you though, the person who needs that synergy more than anybody is Gilly99. The fact that she can't carry her charges, her hit counter with her from fight to fight, aside from that stupid, what special 3 ability, whatever it is ridiculous. And that just makes her so incapable of long-term success. Her whole kit is so disappointing for Abyss. Because I tried it. I tried using her bit where if you activate the special 3 when an opponent is 5% or less health, it's an instant KO. It isn't. Not in Abyss. Makes me wonder if Apocalypse could be a playable character or if he would be like a story boss. Because I mean, it's plausible for him to be a playable character if you've got some of the bigger bads in the game as playable characters. It would just be interesting to see how he could incorporate him into the game, give him his proper due, without just completely breaking the mutant class any more than it already is. Like I'm interested, but I'm kind of worried about what Professor X could do. Because mutants are just so overpowered, and pleasantly so. And they're starting to diversify the other classes too, but mutants consistently have been OP for ages, overall. But right now I think tech needs the most immediate love. We've gotten a huge push in Mystics. Like the last 6 Mystic champs have all been amazing. And that's capping off several other fantastic Mystics before that. Right? Starting with, well, Symbiote Supreme was the first big one, but you could even argue that like Hood and Mephisto and Morningstar especially are particularly useful. Let's mix in. Let's have some fun. I love Elsa. Cosmics between Cat Marvel movie and Corvus and Hyperion. Although I'd love Hype as a 6-star. They're pretty decent. Skill has gotten a lot of attention. Science could use another couple characters, preferably not like top tier god tiers, but they could use just a couple more champions, new champions. Not like bringing Electro and Abomination into the 6-star pool, but like somebody new. But I think Tech needs the most immediate attention. AC, you're talking about Professor X. That's what I'm kind of hoping too, that X winds up being, I think I was saying it the other day too, but he could be like the mutant version of Nick Fury or Beardo, you know, where he's perfectly usable as his own champ, or as a standalone champ, but like one of his biggest benefits is that he can synergize with most everybody. I guess Hyperion, or not Hyperion, Heimdall is the cosmic version. With probably hands down the most useful synergy in the entire game. Oh, I'm sorry, did Elsa just melt that void? I must have missed it, I blinked and he was down already. Yeah, and there isn't going to be a tech next month either. It's a skill and science. And yeah. That's going to be... That's entirely plausible, but that'd be very unfortunate. Because, like, everybody would want to get him just purely for the sake of who he is, right? And then double down on that because of the synergies, but I don't know, it's just, especially with what they're calling Book 2 Act 1 coming out and the beta soon, and then presumably 2-3 months down the road as actual content. You know full well at some point, if they do 4 acts in chapter 1 or whatever they're calling it, at some point they're going to introduce gates that you can only bring in 6 stars. And at that point, what are you going to do, you know? That, because it invalidates like 90% of everyone's roster immediately, and then what are you going to do? Most people don't have, just can't have diverse enough rosters to accommodate all the other nodes and junk that they throw at you, you know? It's just not plausible. Unless you're immensely lucky or a whale. And that's no fun. Okay, so I'm at 20. So I hope not. But I hope by that point when he comes out, they've reevaluated their arena strategy. And they either expand the prize pool or they've started the 6-star feature arena. Just to give everybody else a leg up, you know? This still breaks my heart watching some of those crystal opening videos. People spending disgusting amounts of money or just opening a ridiculous amount of crystals and getting nothing. But But that's your catch-22. You either do that or you put up, 3 days of your life into an arena and then hope, you know. Or hoard all of your 5-star shards for months and months and months on end, and then hope to get lucky with the featured crystal. But who knows? Nexus crystals may wind up being a thing someday. Hope so. Cheers. Cheers, AC. Thanks for joining in. I'm glad you're here. We'll catch you in the next one. I'm gonna have to deny that incursion request. Unfortunately. But we're moving along pretty well. So we got the arena streak here. We got the 565 5-star champs in the bag. Let's see. Got enough time to go through my 6-star roster and then see how we're doing from there. My guess, hopefully, is somewhere around the 3 million range. Ouch. How about? There we go. Yeah. Yeah. So I always take Seaton's videos with a grain of salt. He gets immensely lucky. Immensely lucky. However, the amount of effort he had to put in to get to that point, me personally, isn't worth the trade-off. Like, I get it for him. He's running a business at this point, and he's doing it for the views. But that would not be my approach personally. Like, if the whole goal is to get the new character, I mean, if you're saving up because you want to diversify your 6-star roster, that's pretty much the only way you can go. But to get the champs, that's not the optimal route. Yeah, cheers, buddy. I got so lucky. I got so disgustingly lucky with that. I don't remember where I pulled my 5-star ghost. Because I think when she was in arena, she was only available as 4 stars. Like, she was that old. I think I just wound up getting lucky on a random 5-star. But the 6-star was just disgusting luck. Absolutely disgusting luck. It was just out of a random regular 6-star crystal, and that was probably 2 months after I pulled Wasp. I mean, at that point, I already had 5-star Ghost maxed out, so I was like, hey, that's cool. But then it wasn't until I did Abyss 100% to get that generic that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Ouch. No dodging for you. And she is awesome. She is as awesome as you would hope she would be. Very, 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 very happy. And even still, to this day, having pulled a Tech Awakening Stone after the fact, still don't regret using the generic. Yeah. Like watching Seaton's videos and then going back and watching Cow Whale's videos, I think really gives you a fair and balanced point of view of what those featured calves actually are like. You know? Because like Seaton whales out, no doubt, but he can afford it because he's by far the biggest MCOC YouTuber, right? And he's been doing it forever, and good for him because he's built that up himself. He's a good guy and he plays well. So good on him. He deserves it. And yeah, all power to him. But then you watch, you know, Cow Whale's old videos and how he would open up hundreds at a time, get nothing, and be totally chill with it because, as he always put it, the good stuff always happens in the next 100. That his everybody approaches the game differently. I'll say that. He approached it his way. I approach it a different way. I like my way. So I'm gonna stick with it. But like I said, just getting back to the point, it paints a very fair picture of how rare featured champs are. Or really, frankly, even anything worthwhile. You know? You can pull a full 5-star, but if the 5-star isn't anybody useful, it's not really doing you any good. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Let's have a firefight. There was a firefight. I gotta go back and rewatch that movie. It's been too long. Yep. Amen to that. I think the last time I saw Boondock Saints was in like 8 years ago. I was watching it for with a buddy of mine, just for kicks. That was a long time ago. It's a good movie. Definitely recommend it. If you haven't seen it, it's been around, so I suspect a lot of people have. Second one wasn't so great. I think they've kind of killed talks for a third. Let's go, buddy. Thank you. But I'm gonna get ruined. Stupid parry. But it's been way too long, I think, between two and if they were going to do a third one. I mean, the fact that Norman Reedus is like twice as old as he was in the first couple. And I don't think it would have the charm that it used to. Yeah, there's a reason that I'm just now barely starting to get in for my arena streak a day and a half into it. I was like, you know, I appreciate the break. I need that little bit of time to decompress. I'm good. And you know, as much as I love playing the game too, it's very nice to do something else. Take that little breather. Which is really cool. You know, I'm glad to be live streaming here. I'm glad to be able to chat with you guys. That's, excuse me, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Just to hang out and chew the fat a bit. Makes grinding a whole lot more fun. But I mean, that's what you got to do for like the long grinds, because if you just sit on your couch, or if you're in bed, or you're on a chair or whatever, just sitting and playing the game and doing nothing else for these long kind of grinds, you're just gonna lose your mind. Don't think. Because like what I used to do, and you know, I would just binge seasons of Netflix, right? You just plunk down, you can probably get through 2 or 3 episodes a night, put up a good few million points, come back, do the same thing the next day and the day after that. And that's assuming that you don't want to keep going for either huge milestones or the next champ in the next arena. I have watched many seasons of Netflix. And bring in Rogue. Yeah, that too. Honestly, that too. Plus, it's cool just to be able to chew the fat with people who know what you're talking about. You know? I got a lot of friends who are gamers, a lot of friends who aren't, but a lot of friends who are gamers, but everyone's got their different game, right? So it's like, I could talk shop about strategy and logistics and Contest of Champions for hours. Which is why I think it's such a fantastic game, is that especially now, but going on 5 years later, it's just so deep and immense with strategy, just between gameplay and all the different interwoven mechanics for all the different characters. That's awesome. But like, I tried talking to some of my other friends about it, and they're just, you know, either just shake their head and nod, or their eyes start to gloss over, which is fair because I do the same thing when they start getting into their game. But it's cool. This is really cool. And it's exciting to see where it'll go. Yeah, well, cheers. I'm glad you're here. It's always a lot more fun getting to play concurrently with somebody else, and honestly getting to chat with you and everybody else helped me get through mine, so. see, are you thinking of it'll be interesting to see what they do when they start releasing actual gameplay trailers for the spin-off, the what, Realm of Champions, to see how that winds up breaking down. But is that does that pique your interest any? Because like, I don't have any doubt that the company would be able to spin off and be able to do a second game. I mean, they certainly have the capital for it, for one, and they should have the good graces of Disney Marvel, too, to be able to do, frankly, whatever they want. So they should be able to handle it logistically. It'll just be interesting to see what they do gameplay-wise to make it different. To make it different from Contest of Champions and make it different from Transformers, too. Yeah, right. So I'm hoping that that doesn't, you know, that isn't secretly a bad sign. Because I want them to do well. I'm not wishing ill on them at all. I know that they have gotten a bit of blowback. Just based on, you know, persistent bugs in this game and whatnot, but I wish them well. I think it just depends on what kind of game it is. And then also, to be entirely frank, I don't want to juggle two mobile games, for me, personally. So I might, you know, pick it up, I might download it, might play it a little bit, but I'm so heavily invested in the characters and story and gameplay of this game that I don't think I'm gonna pick up a second main. Besides, I've got a backlog library catalog a mile long on console, so unless whatever they come up with is just so mind-blowingly awesome that I just can't believe it. Changes my life. And I think it depends what kind of game it is too. Like if it's like some big MMO RPG, something like that, then that I think would almost be the smartest move to make, just because the two gameplay games won't overlap and cannibalize each other. So if you like fighting games, you got this. If you like this kind of RPGs, you got that. Because I think, but Future Fight is still going, right? So they might butt heads a little bit. But as long as they keep supporting this one, I'm good. That, and I do kind of miss the novelty of being able to pick up a game, play it to completion, and then put it down and be done with it, you know? Like, this is cool because it's constantly growing and evolving, and, you know, like I said, weaving layers upon layers upon layers between story and gameplay and interwoven mechanics and synergies and all that jazz. That's awesome. But there's certainly a novelty to picking up a story with a beginning, a middle, and end. Like, I'm kind of big on Borderlands too. Been a fan of the series from the beginning. And you know, with 3 coming out, obviously you've got the story mode and you can go back into it, farm some items if you're interested. But it's all optional. But it still gets to a point where it's like, okay, you spend a little bit of time farming stuff, you've got the best weapons in the game, and then, you know, you just put it back down and be good. Whereas this, it feels like if you put it down for a month or 2 months, you're just fall so far behind. I know that Kabam has gotten a lot of flack, speaking of like longevity and reinventing itself, that the devs have gotten a bit of flack in the past each time they come up with the new star tier rarity, right? So they got a lot of heat when 5 stars came out. They got even more heat when 6s came out so quick. And inevitably they'll get heat again whenever they do the next round, whenever that is. But at the same time, I agree with the blowback, just because you spend so much like real life time building up a roster and then having to start it over again. But at the same time, like, you can't, like, without actually starting a new account and starting over from the very beginning again, it's kind of fun getting who you wind up getting from the new star rarity, and then just building a new team around them, you know? It gives you the option to play with champs that you never would play with otherwise. And just breathes a little bit of new life into the game that way too. I think there are other ways to do that, mind you, to inspire and to get people to play other random characters. But I think that way at least is that can be seen as a positive. Yeah, and it's big stuff they changed too. It's mechanics. And the meta shifts every 3 or 4 months. Especially with them iterating so much on Alliance War and Alliance Quest 2 to a somewhat lesser extent. Now with all the different modifiers and whatnot. Like, they haven't touched the monthly quests in a couple of years, so you aren't going to miss out on much there. Especially reward-wise, but yeah, but those Alliance events, yeah, that's huge. Like, this season, Flow has just messed up everybody's strategy. It's such a pain in the butt node. And Dr. Doom as the boss now with AQ. Just like how Annihilus last time was super annoying. We got Thing now. And Thanos with his inverted controls. Me personally, I prefer Doom over Thanos. I think Doom is a bit more straightforward. But I just really freaking hate inverted controls. Especially for such do or die gameplay like that, you know? I think it was terrible in its implementation, especially with like it being mainline story content. I think if they would have done that with a smaller one-off, or at least made the gates more accessible somehow, then that could have worked out better. Like if it was a gate where you could use your 3 stars, right? I think if they had done something like that, a la like variant style, that would have gone over much better than being current, you know, at the time end game content. Because that was a big in-your-face, pay-me sort of mechanic. Nobody had 6 stars when that came out. You know, now, practically a year later, I think a lot of people are in a different boat, or at least have more options to potentially attack that, but even still, even a year later, it's still not optimal. Besides, do you really want to play content from a year ago now? Yeah, it's a pretty crummy feeling. Hey, you're coming out with something new and it's got really cool rewards. I'm going to put a peg in that and come back to that 11 months from now. No, I don't think that's the ideal situation for anybody. Yeah. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. I'm still calling that I'm hoping it isn't chapter 1, but I'm guessing by chapter 2 they're going to have 6-star gates again. Where you got to have a full roster of 6 stars. Hopefully it isn't something that's even more BS, where it's certain ranks of 6 stars. That would be awful. And pretty unhealthy, I think, for the game. If nothing else, make it a node, you know, instead of a gate. Similar to like Major League and Minor League. Or if you want to play it, you can play it, but you're going to be playing with a handicap. If you want the easier time, play it their way, but if, you know, if you aren't in that boat yet, you can still play. It just requires a little bit more skill. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see who ends up getting the beta invites. I mean, me personally, I'm kind of hoping I do, just because it's really fun just to do all the random stuff in the beta. Like, sure, you got the intended stuff, the gameplay, the Hulkbuster gameplay, whatever. But it's so much more fun just being able to take up random champs that you would never take up otherwise seriously, and just playing around with them just for kicks. I wish they would do that in the real game. Everyone gets a ticket, and once every 4 weeks, once every 6 weeks, your number comes up and you get invited to the temporary beta server where you can just fool around with your account, play with champs you wouldn't ever play with otherwise, rank champs up who you wouldn't otherwise, just to see how they handle. And then at the end of the 3 days or a week or whatever you get, everything's just wiped away. Yep, that is the name of the game for Act 6. Unit Drain. But, I mean, that's kind of nice too. You can save and strategize and save and strategize and save some more. go in, do a path, do a couple paths, you know, use up your stash, whatever's an overflow, and then start strategizing for the next part. I say it's fun provided that it's fair, and a lot of Act 6 wasn't fair. It's fun when it's skill-based. It's not fun when it's in-your-face BS mechanics. Or champion gates. But I'm gonna call it. I'm looking at the clock. I'm gonna call it here. As soon as I get done with this round, that's gonna do me for tonight. Yeah, that's how you gotta do it. Chip away at it bit by bit. But that is gonna do me for tonight. I'm hoping to pick this up again tomorrow. I guess tomorrow's the last night of this arena already. Time flies by when you aren't really paying attention to the time. But should be in decent shape to get the milestone still. But anyway, guys, like I said, that's going to do me for tonight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out, tagging along. I appreciate that very much. Like I said, I'm probably going to look about, hopefully do another one tomorrow night. And if not, maybe Sunday night for the that one-day arena. And if nothing else, I'll catch you next week. But again, guys, thanks for watching. Sure, like and subscribe to the channel for updates on new stuff, because there's stuff coming out constantly. And until next time, take care, talk soon, stay safe, and be well, everybody. Bye for now.